Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. How's everybody doing this morning?
Good
Super!
morning.
Yay, good
Woohoo!
morning.
All right. Well, I would say we have a robust and excited group here, but that's always the case. Every Saturday that we do our walk and talk. And for those that are new, the walk and talk is a bunch of like-minded people that are engaged in the Health Point program. Maybe there's business owners and coaches. Maybe there's clients. Everybody is welcome. Everybody is welcome to join live and contribute, kind of the round robin nature of things. And we run from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for those that don't catch it live, it is uploaded onto the YouTube channel called Voices of Health Points. So be sure to catch episodes on there. But we often have some docket items that are queued up for the program that we'll kind of lead off with. And then we get into some discussion on those. And it inevitably, in fact, we were talking about this in the preamble here, inevitably we get into a rabbit hole and we go deep. It's always fun though. But I'm going to be doing a topic called tuning the vagus. And I'm talking about the vagus nerve. We've got Hank that is going to be exploring if you experience this, you may be low in that. I love that. I love the intrigue. We've got Kathy Munoz that is going to be dialing in some things that inspired her on the James Clear topic of embracing mental toughness. Love that. And I think nobody could do it better than Kathy. The We've transitioned from step queen to health queen, I think, but I still think of you as a step queen, and that takes mental toughness. And then we're going to likely touch on the upcoming Monday night that we're starting a fresh day one of a 6-week cycle. So we'll touch on that as well. So let's get going. I'm going to again talk about tuning the vagus, why your body's most powerful nerve might just need a breath of fresh air. So there's a nerve inside you that may hold the key to your digestion, mood, energy, clarity, and even your ability to respond to stress. It's called the vagus nerve. And though it rarely gets attention, it plays a starring role in nearly every system that keeps you well. And guys, let me break a bit and say, if you're not familiar with this nerve, do a Google search on it, do a Google image search. It is extraordinary. The vagus nerve, and you just see it in the body. It is massive. So, and to that point, the vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve in the body, running from your brainstem down your neck, past your heart and lungs, and deep into your digestive tract. It's a key part of what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, the system responsible for calming your body, aiding digestion, and allowing recovery. It also serves as a critical communication highway between your gut and your brain. In fact, about 80% of vagus nerve signals travel from the body back up to the brain. We've got some background noise, please. Not the other way around. That means what's happening in your belly, like inflammation, nutrient absorption, or gut imbalance, directly affects your mood, focus, and stress levels. So if you've ever felt mentally foggy when your stomach is upset or emotionally drained during poor digestion, you've felt this pathway in action. This is what people mean by the gut-brain connection, and the vagus nerve is its bridge. To understand the vagus nerve's importance, we need to look at how your body responds to stress and how it evolved to do so. Thousands of years ago, if you were confronted with a threat, say a predator or a physical danger, your body instantly triggered a fight or flight response, right? We're all familiar with that term, fight or flight response. Here's what happens. Heart rate surges, breathing quickens, muscles tighten, blood pressure rises, and most importantly, oxygenated blood was redirected away from your core and your brain towards your arms and legs. Why? Because outrunning a predator or fighting off a threat depended on the physical readiness of your limbs. Thinking through your next step wasn't as critical as taking immediate action. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for reasoning, planning, and regulation, was temporarily overridden by older, faster acting survival systems. This response worked well for our ancestors, but in modern life, most of our stressors are not physical threats. They're emotional, financial, relational, or logistical. The problem? Your body doesn't know the difference. It reacts to a traffic jam, an argument, or a full inbox the same way it would to a wild animal. It shuts down digestion, it stunts blood to the limbs, it reduces blood flow to the brain, and it's all in an effort to react fast, not to think. That's why you feel foggy or impulsive under pressure. You literally have less oxygenated blood flowing to the thinking part of your brain. And in that moment, you're less equipped to solve the very problem you're facing. Here's where it gets powerful. You can reverse this state. You can tell your body the danger has passed, even if the situation hasn't changed, by using one tool, your breath. Slow, intentional breathing, especially with longer exhales, stimulates the vagus nerve, activating your parasympathetic nervous system. This sends a biological message of safety to your body. When the vagus nerve is engaged, heart rate slows, blood pressure lowers, digestion resumes, inflammation reduces, blood and oxygen return to your internal organs, and critically, oxygenated blood returns to the prefrontal cortex portion of the brain. This re-engages your ability to think clearly, regulate emotion, and make wise decisions. One of the most accessible techniques is the 4-7-8 breathing pattern. Inhale for 4 seconds. I do it right now, but I kind of got to do this. But you inhale for 4 seconds. You hold for 7 seconds. And you exhale slowly for 8 seconds. Just a few cycles of this pattern can shift your body into a calmer state and bring your brain back online. It doesn't take long. You may feel the change in a single minute. Less tension in your jaw and neck, a softening in your chest, and a clearer mind. More intense breathing techniques like those used in the Wim Hof method, shout out to you, David, combine rapid breath work with controlled holds and cold exposure. While these may initially elevate stress hormones, they help build long-term resilience and improve vagal tone, making your body better at bouncing back. The common thread is training the nervous system, not just reacting to it. Breath becomes a tool that gives you back access to your mental resources. In today's world, stress is no longer about survival. It's about navigation. We're not running from lions. We're navigating complex decisions, managing emotions, and adapting to constant input. And what we need in those moments is not stronger legs or faster fists. We need clearer thinking. We need regulated emotions. We need digestion, immunity, and recovery. That only happens when we shift out of the fight or flight and back into the part of our biology designed for healing. So when you feel overwhelmed, remember, the solution isn't always to push through. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is pause and breathe, because that next breath isn't just air. It's clarity, it's calm, it's a return to yourself. Okay, guys, that's my piece on the vagus nerve. And of course, questions, comments, etc. Is and let me just kind of tee up some context for this. What kind of, a lot of times what we're experiencing in the week kind of influence, or at least in my case, influences the topic that I might be having. And I just had a, no need to go into details. I mean, be happy to, but no need to. But I just had a particularly situation that I had to deal with. And it was, if on a DEF CON scale, it was like probably a DEF CON, maybe not a DEF CON 4, but kind of a DEF CON 3 situation. And it was like 2 days running. And I can tell you that this 4-7-8 breathing technique, the calming of the vagus nerve, the increased cognition that comes with that, because I needed to make decisions. I needed to make decisions sometimes that didn't have a lot of time for planning. So I had to have I needed my oxygenated brain to do that. So that's what kind of inspired me to cover this topic. But any thoughts, questions on breathing, breath work, and the vagus nerve?
Actually, Eric,
Yes,
this is strategy that when we would be performing on stage, and when I was teaching drama classes to my high school students, we would do exactly that, those breathing techniques, so that they could focus, obviously help to relax before a performance. That's how we would always warm up, is doing the diaphragm breathing techniques, and absolutely stop and breathe, we would always say. But that's so true, it really does help. But I never tied it into the vagus nerve situation, so I just knew it was always important to do, and we did it.
So this was a situation where you or and maybe the other performers, you're kind of getting into a fight or flight moment, is what I'm understanding, where you're going out to perform, and this is going out on stage, and you would kind of make a concerted effort individually and collectively to kind of stop and breathe.
Absolutely. And interestingly, and I don't know if this has anything to do with that connection, the vagus nerve, but we would always bend over from our waist, and then, put our heads down and do the deep breathing exercise that way, and then lift ourselves up. So I, again, never knew the rationale behind that. I just knew that's what we did in our drama classes or our performances. So that's what I shared with my
Good
kids.
morning, Nancy.
Morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We got some background noise from somebody there.
Was yours too?
Yeah.
That's good. We need our sleep.
Yeah, let me mute. Okay, I just muted everybody. Sometimes when we've got a hot mic, they don't realize they have a hot mic. So even though I'm saying Bueller, or somebody's got a hot mic, they don't hear it. And I get that, but just know that I just pulled the trigger on muting everybody. So everybody is muted right now. So just manually unmute yourself when you're ready to speak. Sorry to cut you off like that, Pam, but I had to handle that background noise. So
not
Pam,
a problem.
If you can come. Okay.
I was starting to giggle anyway. I needed my sleep too.
I know, you hear all kinds of secrets back there, right? When people are on the hot mic, it's like, oh, that's interesting. For their, half the time I'm muting everyone for their sake, not for our sake.
Exactly, boy. So that's all I had to say, is that we would bend over and do that deep breathing like you suggested, and then lift ourselves up. And I'm thinking, now that you're talking about the connection from the brain through the digestive system and everything, that would probably help. I don't know, maybe that passageway, but monkey see, monkey do. You do what you're taught, so that's how I was instructed when we were performing.
Oh, that's great. That's really great. What a great real life experience to share. Nothing more fight or flight than going on stage and in front of the public, right?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah,
I was gonna say, tying in with what Pamela was talking about, I don't have it with me, but on my desk I have a page, and I'll post it on Health Point based on this topic, but it's all about stress. And there's two kinds of stress. There's a stress, stress, or a distress. And what Pamela was talking about, I'm going to stop here. What Pamela was talking about was eustress. Those are, yeah, you're stressed, but you're stressed for something exciting and positive. And the distress would be something like you got to take a loved one to the hospital real quick, or somebody fell, or somebody got hurt. That's a distress. And there's two different kinds of stress, but we are being stressed all the time, and just because of the society we live in. And so to know the difference, because there's some very positive stress, stress of reaching a goal, stress of playing a sport, singing like Pamela was talking about, versus things like taking a person to the hospital. Somebody just had an accident, somebody just fell, you just learned of a death. Those are completely different stresses. And stress is not necessarily a bad word. I think it's a word that keeps us very mentally acute and sharp. And I love that little product that we have, stress release probiotic, because you're talking about the vagus nerve, and this is talking about a melon concentrate that comes from the south of France that is able to get that probiotic down from the mouth to the all the way down the vagus nerve and arrive alive in your intestinal tract and then travel back up. So it's a great one, but to know that stress, sometimes we don't want stress. We want everything just kind of business as usual. But we live in a society that if we're accomplishing anything, we're going to experience stress. But a lot of it is good and exciting, and a lot of it is definitely destructive. So just wanted to
That,
pass that on.
no, I love that. And that's such a great point. Stress categorically is not necessarily bad. We need stress, as a matter of fact. In fact, if you were literally stress-free, if your muscles were stress-free, you wouldn't build muscle. If your emotions and brain are totally stress-free, you don't build that resiliency. I love that, Carol. That's a great point.
Eric,
Yes, Hank. Hello. Good morning.
good morning. Can I add something on to this? Because, I think this is got to take you guys in history, okay? Since I'm a World War II baby here, okay? And I've studied a lot of that stuff. Um, the importance of oxygen. And some of you may know, back then, Hitler was putting all the Jewish people in concentration camps, but he was scared of one major thing, was cancer. And because his mother died of cancer. There was a Dr. Wahlberg, he's a Jewish doctor, very well known in Germany at that time. And he told that doctor, he says, you find a way that I don't get cancer, I won't put you in a concentration camp. And the doctor worked on that and came up with the fact most cancer starts in the system when it's low in oxygen. Okay? Oxygen is vital because cancer cells don't live in an oxygenated system. Okay. And when he came up with that, and then I've got a sheet, and I sent it out some time back, that many other doctors and physicians agree that at the start of most situations, diseases in the person's body start from lack of oxygen. So just want to share that with you.
That's a huge point. Actually, kind of a nice bridge for those that were here for last week. I think it was last week where we talked about, the cancerous cells. And absolutely spot on, Hank. And that's really interesting, piece of history, and so true. So, yeah. And I was just thinking too, Pam, you're mentioning about the way you guys did it, and it made me think too, if you've never done this before, you may feel, and again, adjust, if you do, but you may feel a little bit lightheaded, right? I mean, if just think in an extreme case, if you were hyperventilating, if you were like, breathing, in and out, and you can get lightheaded. And what does somebody knowledgeable tell you to do? What does a physician tell you to do? It would be to lower, your head, get your head down. So Pam, when you were saying that you guys would like bend at the waist, it may have been to help counteract that lightheadedness and so forth. Likewise, although I did, these particular days that I was dealing with these situations where I need to bring my brain back online, utilize this breathing technique to bring my brain online for full cognition, for my, maximum decision making. I was literally, driving, because I had to drive somewhere, deal with this situation. And then again, the second day, drive there. But I've done this before. 4-7-8 breathing is not new to me, but if it is new to you, I wouldn't recommend doing it while you're driving. Practice it while you're, safely in home, maybe sitting down. Build these techniques like anything else. But in my case, you can feel it coming on, right? And that's kind of some of the mindfulness, some of the awareness. If is your breathing really shallow, right? If you're stressed, and you might be doing like upper chest shallow breathing, that's that fight or flight response. You feel that coming on, and that's where you kind of override it, and you utilize, in this case, say a 4-7-8. There's also what's called box breathing. I use 4-7-8, but they're similar. But you can override that with that 4-second inhale, that hold for 7 seconds, and then the exhale. Sometimes I vary this, but sometimes it's inhale through the nose and exhale kind of like slowly, if you kind of like, I blow the air out kind of like that, with almost like pursed lips, kind of through the teeth, like that. Other times I'll do kind of like, picture like a balloon, instead of like a thin opening, like pursed lips, like coming through. If you just, open up that balloon, and just open mouth like that. And it's just a quicker exhale of that air. And then again, you hold that for the 8 seconds, and then through the nose. Typically, I usually don't inhale through the mouth, but I suppose you could. So you can kind of experiment with it, but it's something that if you're looking to train that vagus nerve and have this be a more default state, it is something where, kind of like any muscle building, it's good to do it on a regular basis, maybe a couple times a day as a routine. But then you're ready for it when you have those kind of, and we all have them, right? Where you've got that day or that hour or sometimes that week where it's kind of a high level stress, and then your body is a little bit more trained, and you're a little bit more trained to work on this. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, comments?
Yes.
David.
And so one of the things that I often talk about is our children and grandchildren and in relationship to breathing. And so my family is aware that, like, before going to school, but especially before a test day, is the importance of having protein. But I also talk to them about the importance of drinking water so your brain is hydrated. And then I also talk to them about, we talk about box breathing because that's the easiest one to start off with. And I know that, like, the Navy SEALs and the Army Rangers, those are breathing techniques that they use just before they go into combat to get their head on the right places. They're in a high anxiety state. So all great stuff that was shared.
Great point.
One more thing.
Yes.
And I'm talking about Hank and the oxygen. And so I had COPD 5 years ago. And I started the Wim Hof breathing as a way of increasing my oxygen levels in my body. And between Health Point, the Wim Hof breathing, and other things that the new supplements and everything, I no longer have COPD, other than that if I get sick or something, it's my weak link. My lungs are my weak link. And so I have to work. I work every day at doing the health point and walking and the different things in order to keep my lungs strong, because I'm aware that's kind of like the weakest part of my body. Anyways, thank you.
You know, David, that's a great point. And if you were on, any of you were on last Monday, you heard Eileen. I don't know if Eileen's on this morning or not, but you heard her talk about how she was able to give her CPAP machine away, and the doctor told her she had the breathing of an athlete. And all she did was very, very consistently do the walking. And how, you know, why does Health Point choose walking as our form of exercise? Well, these are the kinds of things. It improves breathing, it builds those heart muscles, keeps that oxygen flowing to the brain, the adrenaline. When you are finished with a walk, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to take on the world when I'm finished with walk and talk on Saturday mornings. And so it's just some very positive effects just in the exercise of walking that forces you to breathe more and get more oxygen in and keep all of those heart muscles and everything working, because your heart is a muscle. And like everything, we need to exercise it. So
Great, great. Yeah, I feel the same way, by the way, Carol. Ready to take on the world. This is so energizing every Saturday morning. So yeah, it's just it's a fun topic. It's fun, you know, so many things, you know, that come, you know, our bodies are so brilliantly designed. They are you know, the more you know, if you're curious and dig into some of these things that we learn, we start to understand the body more. When we get into Health Point, we start to learn about blood sugar, learn about, you know, glucose and glycogen and stuff. And then, you know, sometimes you start looking at things like this, where yes, our body is beautifully engineered, but sometimes it's still hanging on to that engineering that was appropriate for, you know, 1,000 years ago or something, or, you know, you're getting chased by a tiger. And, you know, the last 50 years, the last, heck, 10, 20 years, our stressors are different. I like where it says, you know, your stressors now are your, you know, your email inbox. It's more of this low level chronic stress perhaps, and, you know, needing to run, to fight, or something like that, which is what our body will still naturally kick into, is not as necessary. And then if you're not fighting a tiger and defending, you know, trying to save your life in that situation, instead you get this stress buildup. The other thing that I thought I would, you know, that comes to mind when I think of this is, you know, I love techniques, and obviously I wanted to cover this, but I think that there's a lot of times techniques are like the finishing edge. You know, I think about like sharpening a knife, you know, where you do a lot of like grinding on a knife blade, and then there's that finishing, that polishing, that final edge, that final bit. I actually see the breathing technique as that. You know, so what is the bigger thing? Get rid of the stress. Okay, we talked about, like, if you've got a financial problem, get rid of that. There's, you know, don't, like, you know, do your work to do that. If you've got a physical stress, to the ability that you have control of it, you know, we talk a lot about that, of course, in Health Point. That's what people are doing. You know, work to resolve that. And I'm saying this to myself. I know it sounds like I'm saying this to everybody else. I'm saying this to myself. It's not like, okay, keep the financial stress, keep the physical stress, have an emotional disaster, you know, in terms of, you know, how I'm operating my life. And, oh, on top of all that, do a 4-7-8 breathing technique. No, it's, you know, do the hard work of trying to fix that financial situation, you know, heal those relationships and those emotions. If you've got something that's in your control with your health, go to work on that. And then, you know, you don't have that buildup of the stress in the first place. You've got kind of a better foundation on your life. But at those times where things pop up, then you've got the 478 technique, etc. But get rid of the cause of the stressor, and kill that tiger, right? Or wrestle that bear to the ground and punch him in the face. Get him out of your life, and then go back and breathe.
The book that we all got at the intensives, and I think Health Point Intensives was a perfect name for that seminar we went to, but that Self-Control Does Not Work. I think that is such a great book. If you don't have that yet, go on Amazon and get it. It's not a book you whisk through. It's a book that you internalize, and you look at all different areas of your life, excuse me, just a minute here, whether it be relational, there's lots of different stressors, whether it be health, whether job wise, there's so many different things that you can control. And the whole thrust of the book is to control your environment. Once you take control of your environment, and you're never going to do 100% because we live in a unpredictable world with unpredictable situations, but you can control a lot of it by just looking ahead and streamlining streamlining your environment so that you can take control of some of the stressful things. Like you were saying, Eric, you can get rid of them because you take control of them instead of just being a victim of situations. You can be a victor of situations. It's all how you take that approach. And being a victim or having a victim mentality, whether it be health, weight, relationships, job, whatever, much of that you can control or minimize and keep under control. Whereas if you're just going with the wind, shooting with the wind, you're going to be battered around life all your life with situations. And a lot of it you can control, but you have to step back and look. And the book brings it out so, so beautifully. I can't tell you, I'm about 3/4 of the way through it, and I've got probably 3/4 of it underlined because there's just so much applicable stuff. So really, guys, all of you get it and study it. It's really a really good book on life. Back to you, Eric.
Excellent. Yes, excellent. Yeah. Willpower Doesn't Work is the title of that book. It's awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, I think we are cruising along. I just looked at the clock, and I want to absolutely make sure there's ample time for Hank. If Hank, you had a docket item, if you experience this, you may be low on that. And I'm intrigued. I like that teaser. So go for it, Hank.
All right. Well, just not to beat this dog to death, yeah, but the oxygen part, remember, we got a great product called Perfect Water. Perfect Water, I drink 2 of those bottles a day because, I don't go out and walk like you guys do because I just don't. Sorry about that, but I need to do it. I know that. Carol beats on me all the time. But I drink 2 bottles of oxygenated water, which is NSF certified. The only product on the market that really has in it what it states it does. And they recommend it, that's NSF, to all athletes. Perfect Water. And it's a great, great product. All right. So let me tell you what my topic is. And it ties in a little bit what your body's signs could be telling you. So if you have pencil and paper, I want to jot some of these things down, okay? Because I'm going to go through them and some of this stuff could help you. Cracked lips, you're low on B2. Restless legs, you're low on iron. You see some people's legs always jumping and moving, called restless leg syndrome. You're low on iron. Hair loss, you're low on biotin. And we got products to cover all these things, all right, through Nutra. It's amazing. Tingling hands and feet, B12. I mean, that excess with all the B12, it's an awesome, awesome product. Night cramps, you're low on magnesium. Eye twitching, and ties in with the cramps, potassium. I experienced that last night. we were out last night on the beach, praise and worship, and we were doing stuff and walked around, and I got some cramps during the night. I got up and took a tablet of potassium, and I tell you what, just cleared it right up. It was awesome. Cold hands and feet. You got to check your thyroid. Frequent nosebleeds and the infections, vitamin C. It's my favorite product. I take 6 of those babies a day, all right? Because I'm so susceptible to catching colds and all that. And that's not so much nosebleeds, but it just fights infection in your system. Bleeding gums, vitamin K. You know what? Our vitamin D with D3 with K2, right? All right. So again, it's all ties in with things we have. This is interesting. Early gray hair. You're low in copper. You know, I know when I went for my eye surgery and I had all that stuff, and the doctor was talking about, yeah, this guy is 91 years old. He's talking to nurses about that, about me, and he's 91 years old. And they said, well, where's his gray hair? I take a lot of supplements, and I heard it. So I said, I was half out of the picture mentally. I said, I take a lot of supplements, and it has copper in it. And they all laughed, you know. So anyway, so early gray hair. Now this is a good one. Constant fatigue or depressed. Vitamin D. I cannot get enough of vitamin D. And there's a book that I mentioned some time back, What Doctors Never Learned. And the whole book is about 2 products, vitamin D and magnesium. And most people are lacking in this. And, you know, don't say, oh, I take 1 of those a day. Hello, that's peanuts. That's nothing. How many do I take? I take, let's see, I take 6 in the morning and I take 3 at night with my vitamin B. So that's what, 9. 9 of those vitamin Ds a day. And I always feel great, upbeat, and so on. Night sweats, vitamin B6, sugar cravings, you're low in chromium. So look up which best vitamin has a chromium in it, and so you can get on top of it. If you bruise easily, you're low in iron. If you have cracked heels, omega-3. Now we talk about omega-3s all the time, okay? Sharon Webb is awesome on that, and she's right on target. Omega-3s are vital. And don't forget, since I mentioned Sharon, how she and Jerry talked about a CoQ10 last time. Awesome, awesome product. And you need to take at least 2 of those a day. Great for your heart, mitochondria in your system, and everything. So those are some topics that this is a guy is a pharmacist who put this together. Okay, it wasn't Hank Zampa. So I just want to read it to you. I came across it, and I'll shoot it out to you, Eric. You know, and whoever else would like to have it. But great information, because, like you said, we're an amazing product put together, but we must learn how to take care of it. And our immunity system is vital. And be careful what you put into your body. And get off the sad disease. Pick up vitamin D. Will get you there. That's why it's called the sunshine vitamin. You want sunshine in your life, put a lot of good vitamin D in your system. So I hope this helps. And with that, on to you, Eric.
Wow. Thank you so much, Hank. I think I got down most of those. I'm grateful for the fact that we record these, though. I got to be honest. That's and also thank you for the offer to send out the actual list that you have. But boy, I was intrigued by your headline, and your content blew away your headline. That was awesome. Cracked lips, legs jerking around, hair loss, tingling limbs, night cramps, eye twitching, cold hands and feet, nosebleed, bleeding gums, early graying hair, depression and moods, cracked heels, the heart and mitochondria, bruising easily. And to your ultimate point there, to know that we have products and resources that can help in all those categories. I'm sure in that list, we as individuals can probably identify with one or maybe many more than one that are in there, or we know people, loved ones in our life that can identify with that. So what a resource, Hank. That was phenomenal.
No, Eric,
Thank
you
you.
were talking about resources, and the first thing that Hank talked about was the B12. If you go to orange.12 on your Health Point Global app, I know we've been doing a lot of the orange dots. Well, orange.12 is the most comprehensive explanation of excess energy drinks I've ever heard. He goes into every molecule that's in those drinks and how they work together. It is totally amazing. I would really urge everyone, if you've got any reservations about drinking excess energy drinks, listen to that. It's really phenomenal. Back to you, Eric.
Wow. Yeah, great. Yeah, and for anybody new or maybe we've kind of got this description thing going on our global app, right? There's 89 audios in there for people that are on Health Point, and there's each audio has kind of like a string of numbers. Is it day 39, but orange dot number blah blah blah, and so it was so we just go with the sequential numbers, which we call orange dots because they got this orange circle with the number. So Carol, orange dot number 12
Yeah.
is yes, that audio that they go through. I totally agree. I mean, excess energy drinks is one of those things where you kind of like, yeah, okay, I kind of know this, but wow, that thing really unpacks it. And what a phenomenal product too, by the way.
Well, and I think of all the people that are on Health Point that never even go to that product because it's not part of our non-negotiables, and sometimes we forget to talk about it as a health product. We talk about it as an energy product, but there's so much more, so much more. And just the B12 that Hank was talking about, that's what triggered it.
Right, right, absolutely. And we always comment about the preambles to the, like in orange dot number 12, there's going to be a short initial audio. There's always two audios, the short initial audio, anywhere from 2 minutes, maybe to 6 minutes or so, by Nicole Baines. Remember what she said about her energy drinks? And it's just so wonderful, her transparency, that she will be very candid and transparent. And it's one of the things that makes her preambles and the intro to the upcoming main audio so powerful. What did she say about her excess drinks when she got them? She didn't want them. She didn't think there was one other product too. The Australian term for trash is bin. She threw them in the bin. I'm like, what? You did what? I wanted to catch a flight, go to Australia, and dig them out of that bin. You don't throw that stuff away. I mean, if I have any kind of if I pop the top and it, flows over onto the counter, I'm not too proud to get down, lick that counter. I'm
Lap
getting
it up.
that every So when she said that, I was like, okay, yeah. But her ultimate point and the fun part of that was that, then she learned, right? She was identifying with where she was at. She was not educated on it. She learned, and now she loves it. I don't remember how many cases she says she goes through now, but she's always got it there. It's there for herself, for her family when they come to the house, her friends. It's a wonderful product for sure. So
That's
but
cool.
easy.
Never give up on anybody, right?
Exactly. So many of us were fortunate and blessed to see Nicole, live at the intensive just back in May. And I'm so grateful that we have like these preambles, and she's so transparent in that, because the delta between where she is now versus where she was, holy cow.
Yeah.
And
Talk about transformation.
oh my gosh. And testament to her coaches, Sandy Kemper, and then the physics to I got to ask myself, could I have coached her? I don't know. I don't know.
Or will we have given up on her and said, oh, she's not worth it. She's a project.
Yeah.
We give up
Yeah.
on people too fast. Sometimes the people that are most rejective, I don't think that's a word, but or difficult are some of your greatest leaders later on, or your greatest
Yeah.
coaches.
Yeah. It's so true, but I just picture her as a bucking bronco, as a wild stallion, and it seemed like she was fighting everything, but she had, and again, she's very transparent about her inner demons, that she was working with, and but there's no lack of passion and fight in her, and I'm sure there's a number of things that Sandy Kemper and Ben and Jeannie Physic and probably Gad and Melissa Gabriel saw, but I don't know where I've heard it. Sounds like probably a Jim Dornan thing, where it's easier to, what they say, it's kind of easier to kind of file down the fangs of a lion than it is to put fangs into a sheep, right?
Yeah.
So we sometimes talk about eagles versus chickens. So the thing is that we've got to be prepared to deal with that eagle. We've got to be prepared to deal with that lion, because they are kind of, they've got a lot of passion. They got a lot of fight in them. They've got a lot of energy, and they're not always going to be agreeable. They're going to throw their excess energy drinks in the bin, for Pete's sake, but
And they have big egos too, Eric.
they've got big egos.
Big
Yes.
egos. So you got people skills up the kazoo.
Yeah.
And Eric,
Yes, yes.
this is Sharon. If I may just say, this would have been years ago when people were so concerned about the carbonation in drinks being phosphoric acid, which was not good for you. But always with excess energy, it's not had that in it. The carbonation has come from CO2. And so that's something, it's just oxygenated. And so you can burp that up,
Wow.
but it doesn't have phosphoric acid in it, which was harmful to your bones and everything. So that's a reason that a lot of people don't drink anything carbonated, but they can drink excess.
That's worth the whole program today, right there.
Right.
Woo.
So it's CO2, not phosphoric acid.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And
That's a biggie.
That really is a biggie. And I try to keep my mouth shut, like we just so appreciate y'all letting us join in on this, that Jerry and I had kind of determined, okay, we don't have to say anything. We just are so grateful to be included. So there's just sometimes
Sharon, butt in.
Yes.
You are the
Butt in
queen.
more.
Butt in, please.
Yes. Yeah, because these gems, I mean, likewise on the Monday nights and so forth, where
Yeah.
both of you have contributed so mightily to that. I mean, your ability to teach and convey things, and here again, dropped another gem. There could be people out there that just aren't, going to consider a product because they think that that's what's got in it. And now we know. Thank you.
Common theme of our
Yes.
program is Sharon said.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Exactly.
Eric, about that would be good to share with our dentist, because my dentist, for example, doesn't want us to drink carbonated drinks for that exact reason, because it's bad for the enamel. But knowing about CO2, that's really incredible. Good news.
Wow. Yeah, that's very good news. It's bringing something to my mind with a particular dentist who is a very holistic dentist. So I think I'm going to talk some energy drinks with them. So great topic. And we are rapidly moving through our Saturday morning hour. And we all want to give some time for Kathy to unpack some things on James Clear and mental toughness. So Kathy, are you there?
I am here. Good morning, everybody. Yes, Sharon, thanks for that nugget. That was awesome. And I'm with everybody else. Chime in. This is all about everybody sharing and
Yes.
everybody growing. So we're so appreciative to have you with us. So real quick. So yes, as I've stated for several years, Atomic Habits, that book changed my life. So if somebody's new and you haven't read it, get it. Read it. It will change your life in so many ways. And so much so that after I read it, you can go on and you can subscribe to his weekly emails. And so I did. And so sometimes some of my little nuggets come from those. And this was no different. This is about mental toughness. So it says mental toughness is often framed as the perseverance that gets you across the finish line. Find a way to make it happen, push through the pain, grind it out to the end. Those are things we think about with mental toughness. But most days, mental toughness isn't about crossing the finish line. It's about getting to the starting line. Show up when no one is watching. Keep your eye on the ball. This one's so key. Do a little bit every day. Mental toughness is not skipping the days that are easy to skip. So this, I read it. It hit me like a ton of bricks, as some things do. Thank you again, Eric, for always considering me the step queen. And now I'm transitioning to the health queen. I'm going to be transparent here for a minute because I was very disappointed in myself. I ended up having a root canal actually last Friday, which is why I didn't join you guys yesterday because I was not up to it. But the week prior, I experienced extreme pain. And matter of fact, I took 3 days off work. And I lost my 10,000 a day consecutive day step streak because I just didn't have it in me. And I was so down on myself and so disappointed, but I just kept going, yeah, you did it through the hospital. You did it through the middle of the night in the ER, but you got a toothache and you can't walk. Yeah, I had a toothache and I couldn't walk. So I did my best.
You know what? I know there's like a bunch of people that just want to say like, stop, wait a second.
Yes,
like
right.
That's just, all right. For those that don't know, how many days was that at the point of getting a root canal in 3 days of work?
3 years and 83 days.
Right. Okay. So look, I don't think it's, in a way, candidly, I don't know how everybody else is feeling. I'm relieved because it has to stop at some point, And I'm like, is this going to be like, are we going to be like 5 years? Is it going to be like 15 years? My anxiety.
I'm back to 5 days again now. I'm back on a 5-day streak. Today will be day 6. But so I had to share that. And I didn't have a pity party for myself. But the funny thing is, my Pacer app after the 4th day came up and said, you only did 6,000 steps today. Because by the weekend, I was feeling a little bit better. I was trying to start getting myself back. And I noticed such a difference in even doing the 6,000 versus when I hadn't done anything. I did just feel better. I really did. And it said, maybe you should lower your goal. And I'm like, okay, bite you. I'm not lowering my goal. I will get back to my 10,000, you stupid app. Just leave me alone. And then I could subscribe to the Premier app for, I don't know how much it was or whatever, but I would get my 10,000 day streak back. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm just going to redo it. And I'm going to start over and I'm going to recognize that I'm human. And, and so it comes about to mental toughness, getting to the starting line, starting again. And so I told myself over the weekend, Monday, that's it. I'm going back on Monday. And so I did. And then when I saw this on Thursday, it was just like, oh my God, okay, this is James Clear's way of saying, yep, you're right back on track. Just keep it going, girl. You know, and so I thought about our Health Point community, and we've got the new cycle coming up. So maybe some people aren't happy with where they're at right now. And we've got cohort 5, I think it is, if I'm counting right, with our new cycle on Monday. So whatever happened last cycle doesn't matter. You started, you were doing a little bit every day. You were starting to make some good changes. You were making some good steps. Monday's another brand new day to get to the starting line. So let's all get to the starting line and let's have an awesome 6 weeks. And, you know, a year from now, I'll be like, I'm back on my 1-year streak. So that's what I have for today. So thank you.
What a gem, what a gem. And for those that are doing the math on that, again, to kind of reframe Kathy's experience here as a step queen, if my math is right, first of all, 3 years. Okay, so you're talking, you know, 1,000 days, right? So I think you said 3 years and 83 days. So that's like that's over 1,100 days consecutively. And guys, anybody that's new to the program, nobody does 3 years of life without having some difficulties in situations, but we could spend a whole nother hour episode on the things that Kathy has navigated in her life with a variety of things in her life and still maintain that. So congratulations, Kathy. Thank you. I speak for everyone here for releasing us from the anxiety of wondering if you're going to continue. And but well done. And thank you for that gem on James Clear. I love that. It's not so much about crossing the finish line in many cases. It's about getting to the starting line. I love that. And then also thanks for queuing up Monday. And Carol, maybe you want to chat on Monday, or maybe we've already kind of covered what we need to cover, but anything regarding this coming Monday?
Well, you know, one of the things that you're going to hear the most from the Australians is pay it forward. And so even though we love our community, we want to expand our community. There are individuals out there that want to belong to something like we have, and it is more fulfilling today than ever. So go out there, guys, and talk to people about joining in on our lean team and our first our cohort number 5, week number 1. And I asked Eric if he would do the first part of it, because he always does such a great job about talking about the uniqueness and exclusivity of Health Point. So Eric is going to be our special star for the first part of the program, and we're excited about that. So you want everybody exposed to him. So get people on, even if they haven't committed yet. Get them on so they can see the community, because many of them will commit after they get into something like that. And then the second part, we're going to do a spotlight on a gentleman that has lost 80 pounds, part of the VEST team. And I just learned about that. And it's quite a story. And so it's a story of comeback. It's a story of health. So it's going to be very, very helpful for people, and especially people that feel like, oh, I've got so much weight to lose, I could never reach that goal. Well, that's not true. And we can tell them that, but a person with a story like this gentleman will help them to understand that, yes, they can, because it's a real life story. So that's what we'll do Monday night. And I think the next week, we're going to talk about the power of walking. And we're going to feature Kathy in there too, because there's a lot of medicinal benefits of walking, lots and lots of them. And we've got probably about 3 really good articles on that. So I think we'll hit that topic the second week. So yeah, the whole
Great.
thing is just geared around why do we do what we do on Health Point. So thanks for joining us on Monday night, Eric.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you. Carol is hosting and navigating and facilitating those Monday nights. And it's just, it's not easy. You got to line up people. You've got to get people started, you know, in the program. You need to watch the clock. And that's the other thing, guys, is if you invite somebody to this, I mean, they can pretty much set their watch to it. It's going to start at 8. This is Eastern Standard Time, and it's going to shut down at 8:30. And by the way, the doors are only open till 8:05. It's not like this Saturday morning walk and talk, which is more casual. To respect for the program, the people that are there to learn, it shuffles the avatar deck in Zoom if people are coming in midway, especially if they have hot mics. So My assistant, Beth, has her finger on the button and she lets everybody in, but at 8:05 that stops. So do be there a couple minutes early. Again, that's Monday night from 8 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Zoom link is always the same, so you can just get that Zoom link from your coach or whoever's helping you. So guys, again, what an amazing Saturday walk and talk. Thank you everyone that contributed and everybody that just participated. I hope you got value out of things. We will plan on being here same time, same place next week. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Eric.
Adios.
Thank you,
Make it a great
everybody.
week.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.